At Odds and Ends by Corndog_Patrol and For the Wolfie on AO3. Chapter 5 An Unexpected Date. Shouta had expected his cover to last for longer than one day, but he had been discovered by a fucking tailor. The threads that had wrapped around him were gone thanks to his powerful erasure quirk, which was capable of canceling any vamp's quirks, as long as his eyes were on them. He never took his sight away from the vamp, not even to blink, and his hair continued to float around his face. "Hello, Eraser," said Hakamata, calmly. "I wasn't expecting you to be Mr. Yamada's new donor." "Do I know you?" Shouta asked. Now that he'd shown his quirk, there was no point in hiding his identity. "My code name is Best Genus," he introduced, although the name meant nothing to Shouta. "I work very closely with the government. Since I frequently come into contact with professional donors, I let the government know if any of them are being mistreated. We have never met, but you have quite the reputation. I heard you went missing soon after the fire. I suppose this is where you ended up." Shouta growled. "I'm investigating." "Last I heard, you were off the prey roll until you were deemed mentally fit enough to work again." Hakamata looked him up and down. "You're here without the government's consent, I imagined." Shouta bit his lip. "Best Genus, you know I'm here. If all these vamps were killed without justificational cause, you'd know it's me, and you'll be able to turn me in." The tailor didn't look too thrilled. Shouta did some quick calculation in his head. "Give me 2 weeks. And if I fail, tell the government I'm here. No innocents will be harmed. You have my word. I'm in my right mind. I swear. But you can't reveal my identity." Genus folded his arms, carefully considering what he said. "Mr. Yamada has a good reputation. You suspect him of something?" "I'm not crazy," Shouta emphasized, not really answering the question. "If you know me, then you know my track record." "Your track record is for killing vampires," the tailor pointed out, "not giving them fair trials." "I've never killed an innocent leech." Best Genus was quiet. Shouta spoke the truth. 2 weeks is all I need." "Very well." Hakamata concealed. "You have 2 weeks to complete whatever investigations you're concluding. If any innocent vampire dies, and you're responsible, the government will be alerted immediately, and you'll be arrested." Shouta relaxed, but was surprised he managed to persuade him at all. He blinked at the last, and his hair fell down his shoulders. His erasure cancelled. Despite that, the vampire didn't tie him up again as he approached with the measuring tape. "You trust me?" Shouta asked. "No," Gina said, but made no move to attack him. "However, I typically don't get to make clothing for donors of your build, whether fashionable or traditional." "You're helping me because you want to make some clothes." "I'll make sure they're comfortable," he says with a nod. "Now, arms up." Shouta complied, and the man began to take his measurements. After a short while, Hakamata said, "I noticed the bite mark." Shouta's face grew hot with shame, but Best Genus added, "No slayer would have allowed that without probable cause. You have 2 weeks." "Thank you." The measuring continued in silence, and the door eventually opened. Tensei wheeled in with a tray of tea and biscuits. "Sorry for the wait," he said as he placed the tray on the table. "It took me some time to find green tea. I know you're fond of it, Hakamata." "Thank you," the tailor said as he continued taking measurements. His attention moved to the bite mark on Shota's neck, and he started to take measurements of that too. If he was really someone who made sure donors weren't being mistreated, He was probably recording the measurements to learn Hisashi's bite length and tooth circumference, to ensure that he was the only one drinking from him. He wrote down the measurements and nodded before setting the book down. Shouta took the hint that the measuring was finished, and he put his shirt back on to hide the other scars across his body, although the bike was the only properly hidden by his hair. All finished, Hakamata officially declared as he sat on the couch and picked up a cup of tea. Let's discuss color options. Shouta made for the door, but Tensei stopped him. I poured you a cup as well. I hope green tea is okay. He stared down at the cup and watched as steam rose from the surface. Was it poisoned? I'm tired, Shouta said, and it wasn't a lie. Could Nomori please show me back to my room? Of course, Tensei said, and wheeled outside enough to call for the woman. Best Jeanist and Eraserhead shared a quick look. The vampire offered him a wink, as a sign of understanding between them, before Tensei came back. Nomori should be here any moment. As if on cue, the door opened and the maid stepped inside. Hey, still having trouble finding your room? Shouta nodded and exited, not looking back. 2 weeks would be enough time. The day had progressed rather quickly for Hizashi. Once he was practicing his music, his bow ran over the violin strings, creating a sharp, yet harmonious sound with each movement. The music helped take his mind off of stupid things he said, plus the human's adverse reaction. Hizashi had to take things slowly. Hopefully, some new clothes would help the human feel more comfortable. Eventually, there was a knock at the door. He knew Khan had been standing guard outside, even without investigating, but he knew that knock well. Come in, Tensei. The door opened, and the butler wheeled in. He got a glimpse of Khan, leaning against the wall outside, but he didn't follow Tensei in. A reminder that you have a suitor coming soon, Tensei told him. Hakamata finished measuring Shouta, and we picked out some outfits for him. He recommended blacks, reds, and whites for color compositions. I hope this pleases you. None of those absurd pet clothes, right? Nothing trashy as per your request. We also selected some formal suits. They won't be ready in time for Higuri's 2 days solaire, but they should be done soon, in case you wanted to take him to the upcoming ball. The ball had already slipped Sashi's mind. I'm not taking a donor there, he said instantly, releasing a shudder. However, after some thought, he added, but perhaps another in the future, only if he wants to, He started as he registered the first part of Sensei's reminder. Oh, right, the suitor. Thank you, Tensei. I'll get ready. Have Oboro prepare us dinner. Hisashi wished he had eaten more breakfast. He was now hungry for both food and blood. Have dinner sent up to Shota's room, too. I don't imagine he'll want to eat in a group meal for a while. Very well, sir. Is there anything specific you want prepared? Just the usual, nothing too extravagant. He packed his violin into a case for later, since most suitors wanted him to play during their dates. Of course, Sensei nodded, and left to prepare everything. Hisashi had dressed in a nice suit that wasn't too formal, but was far from casual. His hair was tied back out of his face, and his monocle had been shined to a sparkle. He had sat on the steps of the entrance room as he waited for his suitor to arrive. They were late, according to his gold pocket watch, and he was bored and hungry. Hisashi had half a mind to go eat dinner before the guest arrived, but just when he was about to make a decision, there was a knock at the door. The vampire stood up and straightened out his clothes, while Tensei wheeled into the entrance room so he could open the door. The wink he sent him was for encouragement. Hisashi forced himself to smile bravely. The door opened to reveal a man in rather casual clothes. They were nice clothes, but the man wore them with little camaraderie. His jacket was tight around his waist, his sleeves rolled up, and his shirt was partly open and lacked a bow tie. While Hisashi wasn't the sort to always dress fancy, He put effort into looking as presentable as possible when he wanted to make a good first impression. This suitor hadn't. "Hey," the man said as he walked inside. "Your place is bigger than I thought." "Hizashi Yamada," he introduced instead, ignoring the comment about the house. "It's a pleasure to meet you. You can leave your coat with my butler." "Name's Muscular." He had short blonde hair, a boxy face, and a lot of muscles. One of his eyes was surrounded by scars, while the eye itself was an obvious prosthetic. Although the suitor wasn't ugly, and under different circumstances, he might have been an acceptable one-night stand, before Hisashi had become such a coveted bachelor. Hisashi's gut immediately disliked this man. Muscular looked to Tensei, but made a disgusted face. "I can hold on to it." He pulled the sleeve of his jacket so that they tightened for emphasis. While Hisashi wanted to kick him out for that expression alone, it wasn't a course of action he could take without proper consideration. It would ruin Muscular's reputation if the date was cut short before it even begun, and Hisashi had no interest in that, even if he deserved it. If Muscular's rude expression hurt Tensei at all, it didn't show. The butler shut the door and wheeled himself to the east hallway. "Please follow me." They headed the same way Hisashi had many times before, each with a different suitor. Muscular said nothing while they walked, as he was too busy marveling at the manner to attempt conversation. They were led to the fancy dining room, which had a longer but narrow table compared to the one used by the household. Hisashi sat at one end, while Muscular was led to the other. Many candles had been lit to give the sense that the suitor was an important guest, and judging by the way he looked around, he was thoroughly convinced of that. The wall-length windows looked out of the garden, and they had been opened to allow the gentle night breeze. Hisashi's closed violin case sat beside his chair, ready for the inevitable request. "So," Hisashi said, "tell me about yourself." "Well, my home is pretty much just as big as this one," Muscular claimed, although it was an obvious lie, judging by the way he continuously glanced around to marvel at the place. "Where are your servants? I've only seen the cripple." Anger flared in his chest. "Tensei is an amazing butler, so I'd appreciate if you refer to him by his name." Muscular appeared thrown off by the scolding. He looked like he was about to snap back at him, but quickly realized how bad that would have been. Instead, he said, "How many servants?" "3 servants and a bodyguard," Hisashi answered, far more civilly. "What?" He choked out a laugh at the absurdity. "This huge place, and you only hire 3 fucking servants." Hisashi's face felt hot, but he forced himself to smile. "I'm very select for who I hire." Before anything more could be said, Namuri and Tensei entered with plates of food. The tension eased as they were settling down on the long table, but Hisashi was distracted by Muscular's expression. The suitor was leering at Namuri, sweeping her body up and down, despite the fact that she had limited skin showing. Namuri made no signs of noticing anything, but Hisashi knew how perceptive she was. If Hisashi hadn't already known this date would be unfruitful, he definitely knew now. He'll eat quickly, since he was hungry, and then see Muscular out. Once the food was placed, both attendants bowed and left, revealing a hint of Khan's standing guard outside the door as they did. It must have been on purpose. "Very selective indeed," Muscular said with a wide grin. "Where'd you get the human? She a donor?" "She's my maid," Hisashi said in a tone that implied he had overstepped a boundary. Muscular snort, unaware. "But you do have a donor, right? You're loaded enough to have one." "I do." There was no point in lying. "However, I do not want to talk about him." "Why? His blood tastes too good? Beyond words, I bet." Hisashi curled his hands into fists. "I don't want to talk about him," he repeated more firmly. Muscular looked offended. You don't gotta act all high and mighty round me, just 'cause you got a donor. It don't make you special. It's what humans are for. Hizashi stood up, his chair creaking as it slid over the wooden floor. The suitor had gone too far. If you genuinely believe that that's what humans are for, then this clearly isn't going to work out. Leave. Muscular looked genuinely floored. What? You a human lover or something? He stood up too, his fangs clear and sharp. Before the situation could escalate, Khan entered the room. I'll show you to the door, he said diversedly. His side was Muscular's, and the suitors realized that immediately, although his eyes were glued on Khan's teeth. Fucking weirdos, Muscular grumbled. You'll regret this. Leave, Hizashi repeated, a bit of his quirk slipping into the word. A handful of candles flickered out. Muscular huffed and marched past Khan, towards the entrance. The guard turned to see him out, leaving Hizashi alone. He immediately pulled his hair out of the ponytail, letting it drop around him, and he removed his jacket and shoved it dejectedly on the floor. His bow tie followed shortly after. The brief flare of frustration over, Hizashi slumped into the chair and held his face in his hand. Today had been a complete disaster. Hizashi couldn't even bring himself to eat despite his hunger. After a while, there was a knock on the door. Come in, Murray, he said, and did his best to look more acceptable. The door swung open, but he was surprised to see she hadn't come alone. Behind her was Shouta, dressed in the same outfit he wore since the start, although he definitely had a bath since he last seen him. Shouta hasn't eaten yet, Namuri said with a cheeky smile, as she hurried forward to relight the candles. Since you no longer have a dinner guest, and we don't want all this food to go to waste, we thought it'd be best if he joins you instead. Hizashi looked to Shouta, surprised. Is that what you want? Shouta scratched the back of his neck and nodded, although there was hesitation. So he didn't really want to, but Namuri wouldn't have forced him to come either. Hizashi gestured to the seat on the opposite end of the table. Hopefully the length would make Shouta feel safe from him. I'd appreciate the company. I'm sorry the food's a little cold. Shouta sat down while murmuring a quiet, It's fine, used to cold food. He put a few things onto his plate, although the portioning of each was small. Namuri bowed and left them, although Hizashi wished she stayed. However, her footsteps didn't continue after she was out the door. She was probably standing guard in Khan's place, in case something went wrong. I'm sorry about what I said this morning, Hizashi said, as he looked up his own plate. We've only just met, and I know so little about you. He didn't even try to keep his sexy vampire charade. He was just too tired for that. What I should have said is that you're a welcome member of this home, and I hope you feel comfortable with time. You consider each other family? The question made Hizashi looked up, but Shota's attention was set on the food. Yeah, he said warmly. Sensei was my first real friend. Well, I met Oboro and Shirokuru in a foster home. Foster home? Hizashi swallowed. My parents passed when I was 10. I didn't inherit the house or money until I was 18, and none of my living family wanted to take me in. He paused and eyed the empty wine glass. Oh, we should have wine. Do you like wine? No. When Shouta said it, his heart rate stayed the same, but his eyes glanced longingly at the empty cup beside him. So that settled it. The human was an amazing liar. Hizashi would have to keep that in mind. Perhaps you just haven't had good wine before, he said with as warm as a smile he could muster. Namuri, could you have Tensei bring up the port wine? Right away, sir. Not worried it'll make my blood taste bad? There was an edge to the question that made Hizashi ache. Shouta, if you don't want me to drink your blood, then I won't drink your blood. The phrase was controversial enough to make the human raise his head. You planning to take me back? Shouta asked and thought he'd tried to hide it. There was genuine fear in his words. Hizashi raised his eyebrows, and he removed his monocle so Shouta could see his eyes. I'm not gonna return you, Shouta. He sighed heavily. I just wanted to help someone, okay? I knew no one would become a professional donor unless they were desperate. So I thought I'd take one in, you in, and provide a comfortable lifestyle. Shouta didn't look at all convinced, even though it was the truth. However, he didn't say anything more on the subject. There was silence for a time as they resumed eating, and Tensei soon entered, but said nothing as he poured them each a glass of wine and left. I heard Hakamada planned to dress you from the donor catalog? Hisashi genuinely smiled. I had figured you feel far more comfortable in traditional attire. Shouta nodded. Do you know Hakamada well? He's more a friend of Tensei's than mine, he said with a shrug. Did you choose some nice outfits? I let Tensei pick them. They were expensive. The quality is next to none, though, as you'll see when they arrive. Shouta glanced out the open window. Is there a way onto the gardens from here? Hisashi nodded. These windows can be parted to make the room open. Why? You never finished giving me a tour of the grounds. Hisashi perked up. You want to see? It's a nice night for it. Hisashi's smile grew wide as he stood and latched the windows, parting them to reveal the porch with columns. On their way to the gardens that morning, Tensei hinted for Hisashi to be careful around Shouta and to have Kan present if they were together. However, although it was clear the human didn't like him, Hisashi didn't get any warning vibes from him. Most of the time, Shouta just felt sad. I'll show you, Hisashi said, leaving his monocle, jacket, and bow tie where he'd left them. He was done being formal, although they both brought their glass of wine with them. It's a lovely night. Shouta stood too, and followed him outside. The breeze was gentle and fresh, and the moon was full, lighting everything in a gentle glow. Hisashi's night was finally looking up. Before I start off and talk about the discussion I opened up last episode, or chapter, I don't know why I keep wanting to say episode, god damn, I'm obsessed with episode. But before I open up the discussion from yesterday, no, it was 2 days ago, so the discussion from last episode, I want to talk about something that happened here. So Hisashi's dinner date and all that. I know Hisashi's has a lot of like, okay, I need to set an example. I can't just demolish this person's reputation. Like, having him kicked out would like ruin his reputation kind of thing. I need to be civil. I would do that if the person's being rude to me. But like, for me, if the person looked at one of my friends, who happens to be my butler, who happens to be in a motherfucking wheelchair, and goes, like, with a disgusted look, yeah, no, immediately I would be like, get out. We're not having a date. Get out. That is unacceptable. You will not disrespect. Like, even if, like, let's say I'm a rich person, and I have a butler, I have a maid, like, even if I'm not friends with them, you disrespect them, you disrespect my house. Get the fuck out. We don't do that. We treat people with basic human respect. And if you can't treat someone who is literally doing a job for you or for your significant other, like, get out. Get out. It's the same with, like, if I were to go on a date with someone and we're, like, at a restaurant or something and they treat the waiter, like, horrible, or waitress, get out. Like, I'm actually, like, no, ending it right here. This is our last motherfucking date. We're not doing this again. Because, no, it's like a huge ick for me. It's not even just a huge ick. It's a huge red flag. It's a huge ick. It's a huge turn off. It's a huge, okay, yeah, no, never mind. Any thoughts of actually pursuing romantic, feelings with you and romantic relationship with you is completely gone. Like, I don't care if I've loved this person for 2 years. You treat somebody wrong like that, I'm not going to sit down and actually let you do that. That is just disgusting. That is disgusting. Now, if you guys want to talk about that specifically, go ahead and talk about that in the comment section. What I want to go about is what I opened the discussion on the last chapter about the whole, what's it called? The whole outfits. So, this person in my comment section, Jessie Lafray, sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, wrote this whole paragraph, and I wanted to talk about it because this is a very interesting thing, and I love it. It's a whole paragraph, but okay. So, I'm gonna skip the part where they just said that, oh no, you triggered my rant, but so, where we agree here is that it's 100% about agency. But I don't exactly trust Shouta here as an elaborate narrator. The book was trends for donors, but it matters a lot who is doing the choosing. There's two comparisons I want to use here. One that YouTube would not like, and teenagers. Both exist in the gray area of consent, but YouTube will eat the other one up, so teenagers it is. So think of donors like teenagers for a second. There's a difference between, say, a trend of kids wearing animal hoodies, and their parents only allowing them to wear animal hoodies. There you go. Okay, so I want to talk about that. Yeah, it's definitely about agency. So, the whole thing about Aizawa not being a good narrator, I will say, he isn't telling the audience, the reader, everything. There is things he's keeping even from us, right? And I think the author does a wonderful job at conveying this. As for the donor book and stuff like that, we don't know how it's actually done and whatever. We don't know if, like, donors are actually treated nicely. I bet that there is some people who do treat donors horribly, but I do agree with this person. It does have to do with agenda. So if the donor wants to wear that kind of stuff, it's up to them. As I said in the other one, do they have consent? Because if they have the consent and the donor actually wants to wear that, then go ahead, wear what you want. But my problem stands where if the vampire is forcing the donor to wear that for the vampire's own wants and own needs. Like, there's a certain character that went through something very traumatic in this fanfic where it was like, yeah, no, oh my god, oh, my heart broke when I found out. Your hearts are gonna break too. So I'm gonna continue with this. I will defend to death a teen girl's right to wear a bra and a mesh shirt if that's what she wants, while also being really icked about the beauty pageants. Okay, beauty pageants are disgusting. I gotta say this. I agree with you, right? I defend the rights of, like, people wearing what they want, as long as it's appropriate for the setting. Like, I wouldn't necessarily say a teen girl could wear that to, per se, a funeral, but, like, let's say somewhere where that's allowed, like to the mall. Have fun. Do you. If you want to wear that and that's what makes you comfortable, go ahead. As long as you're not breaking any laws, as long as it's being respectful, as long as it's not breaking any rules. Like, for example, with school, I get it. School dress code is a thing. Some of the school dress codes I think are absolutely motherfucking disgusting, and we're going to talk about that some other time, maybe in my secret project that I'm working on. I don't know. Hold up. I'll talk to the group about it. Dress code and the president of dress code. That's a very interesting topic. Ooh, I think hold up. I need to write it down before I forget it. Dress code. Okay, but definitely, again, agency. If the person wants to wear that, they wear it, as long as it's appropriate, in the sense of, like, the settings and stuff. Like, that's appropriate to wear at a mall or out with your friends or whatever. But the second it gets to, like, a funeral, that's where I draw the line, because, like, funerals are, it's out of a respect thing. Like, if you want to wear that to your grandma's house, go ahead, have fun with that. Would I? No, I would wear something different for my grandma's house, because it's a different set of things. But, like, specifically when it comes to, like, really, like, funerals or other places where, like, you have to wear, like, something more, or, like, there's certain restaurants that force you to wear very fancy attire. Like, stuff like that, where it's like, okay, yeah, you just have to follow the rules of that establishment or whatever. So agree with that. And I also really hate beauty pageants. It's just, it's icky. It gives me the ick. It gives me the ick. And the problem with trusting Shouta here is he's that evaluating mom screaming about how teen girls' bra straps are obscene. What? Okay. Oh, he's so bigoted against this that he wants to frame everything in the worst way possible. I will say this. He does have a prejudice against vampires. He calls them leeches. I'm sorry. I find that hilarious, the whole leeches. But he does call them leeches. He does have a prejudice against vampires. I will say this. You have a really good... I really love that you're picking up on that subtlety and stuff like that. It's not subtle. He calls them leeches and vamps, but mainly leeches, right? Which, yeah, like, he immediately sees this human who is clearly happy with the vampires, and he assumes the worst. Oh, she's probably brainwashed. You know, like, and I understand from his line of work why he thinks that, and what happened to him, why he thinks that, but I will say he gets better, my dudes. He gets better, I promise. Shouta gets better. He's not a prejudiced prick the whole time. I promise. Just stick it out a little bit. Stick it out a little bit, okay? Just stick, alright? We're barely in the first couple chapters. Please stick it through to the end. I promise you, he gets so much better. It's his character development. You will not believe it. His character development. I promise. Just stick with me, okay? Just stick it. Stick. Okay. How actually naked are they? Or is he just so uncomfortable with the whole idea that something tasteful, excremic holes are suddenly that word, corn in his eyes? We actually don't know how, like, revealing the outfits is. He just describes them as lingerie. In that image, though, that we have, that was painted to us, in the cover is somebody wearing animal ears and a tail, is shirtless and is wearing pants. So take that into consideration. I don't know how revealing it is, but, you know. Like, he might even be right, but right now, I can't trust him to not stab someone who is looking for the equivalent of a personal, masquerade or body servant, or even PSW, because he's convinced himself they must be secretly be looking for a blank to abuse. It isn't the same thing, though. Shota's the bad guy here. I will say, he very much has a distrust. He has huge trust issues. He's also a hypocrite. I'm gonna say that, and I'm not gonna, what's it called? I'm not going to give you context on why he's such a hypocrite. I'm sorry. Do not throw stones if you live in a glass house, Shouta. You gotta stop. But no, yeah, you have a point. He very much has a bias. He very much is immediately thinking of the worst. He very much is thinking, all right, this person is super sweet, super nice. What is wrong about him? Right? We don't get to see him actually interact with other humans, per se, other than Namuri. And, what her name? Miss Joke? Emmy? Yeah, Emmy. Other than those two. So, we don't have that much intel on how untrustful he is with humans, but I believe he probably is untrustful towards humans. But yeah, it's just, it's immense what, you know, all this. He's bigoted. just a little bit bigoted. I promise he gets better. I promise. I pinky promise he gets motherfucking better. I really, really promise you he gets better. It's immense how he goes from... okay, there's literally a scene towards the end where it's just like, oh my god. Like, if this chapter Shouta talked with chapter 1 Shouta, he'd be like, I would never fucking do... Why would you do that for a vampire? I would never do that. That is absurd. That is absurd, my dude. My dude, you did it. Without, like, giving major spoilers. Like, donors are coming from a population at risk for exploration. Oh, like donors are coming from a population at risk of exploitation, sure, but they're also inclined to have trauma around already feeling dehumanized by other humans. They might feel inclined to work through their own with fashion, with now that they have the resources for / luxury of choice. There's a difference between that and Lolita fashion, and it's about control / agency. Who's to say what to do with whose body? I will agree that. My statement before when I said like even if I was a vampire, I would still, help out donors. I would definitely still help out donors. Like if I see a donor wearing the quote unquote traditional donor like clothes and stuff like that, I'd be like, hey, did you want to wear this? Are you comfortable in this? Are you cold? Please tell me that you don't have to wear this in the winter. And if you do wear this in the winter because you want to wear this in the winter, how? Give me your secrets. What the fuck? Like, how? Give me a secret. Like, do you have secrets? What is the intel? Please, I'll pay you money. How do you wear this? I want to learn how to wear clothes that I normally wear in the summer, but in the winter, because like in the winter I'd be looking like, I go from having like really cool like fashion sense to sweatpants and sweatshirts. Like fashionable, looking like, looking like the hallway crush, kind of thing, and then to I look like literally sweatpants and sweatshirts. I look tired. So please give me your secrets. But yeah, I would definitely be making sure that the donors are okay. And with the donors, it is a great sense of area for consent because they do feel the sense of it's like this is their job. Their job is to be a blood donor, right? So they need to consent to it, but at the same time it's that whole power imbalance type of consent thing, which can be kind of tricky. If I were to help out donors in this imaginal fictional world, I'd probably go to psychology, so it's like a psychology class, and learn about the psychology of all this and power imbalances and stuff like that, and really, really learn that so I could help out these donors properly and not misjudge a thing or overlook another thing, This is a really long rant, but I hope you guys enjoy these. I know a lot of you say that you really enjoy these, and for those who really enjoy these, I hope you will probably really, really enjoy my top secret project I'm working on. I keep saying I have a top secret project. I've been saying this for a month now. I promise it is happening. We literally just recorded for it yesterday. I hope you guys are. I need to edit that. God damn it. I need to edit a 2.5-hour video. That's gonna be fun. But yeah, to this person. And by the way, I did ask this person if I was allowed to read this in the next video and talk about what they talked about. So I put here can I I will read this in the next video and talk about it if you don't mind. I meant to put can I. I didn't put can I. I don't know why I didn't put can I. Right? And they replied to me yeah, I totally don't, so long as I don't come off as mean or anything, which you did not. I don't think you came off as mean. You pointed out really interesting points that I didn't think of. I love discussions for this reason. Even if I'm having a discussion and I'm really passionate about something and I'm yeah, this is the truth, this is this. And the other person comes with me and gets me and hits me with a really big thing where it's yeah, no, this is why you're wrong. Well, damn, okay. I'm wrong. Yeah, tell me how I'm wrong. Wait, hold up. Because I get so interested in that. I love debates and stuff like that. Especially I don't know, I find it interesting. So I didn't think about this whole consent stuff and things like that. That wasn't something that came to my mind for some reason. And I love that you sent this whole paragraph about it. I'm smiling right now. I don't know if you could hear it. I've been told that sometimes you can hear the smile in my voice. But I find it so interesting, and you pointed out so many good not plot points, but so many points that are really interesting and I really love, and you didn't come off as mean or rude or anything, so don't worry about that. I was overthinking if I should have used more implications or something to come off more playful. I'm just a hoe for discussion. Do not worry, I am also a hoe for discussions. But do not worry, you don't have to put anything playful or anything like that. I didn't read that as malicious or like you're like, oh, you didn't think of this. No, I genuinely thought of this like as a discussion. I said in the video like, hey, if anybody wants to talk about it and discuss about it in the comments, right? Discussions normally isn't supposed to be like hurtful, meanful. I think like discussions are actually talking about something and going over facts and going like, oh yeah, this, oh yeah, that. 17 minutes of notes, pure notes. Oh god, this is gonna be a long video. Okay, I'm gonna end it now. But okay. I hope you guys enjoyed my little talk with that viewer in the discussion. The reason why I didn't just text and comment this in the comments is because I wanted to go so much in depth, and I feel like my discussions are a whole lot more better when I'm talking to them verbally. I don't know about you guys, I feel like discussions for me are better when I'm talking about verbally. That's why when I want to communicate with someone about something serious, I tend to say like, hey, can we have time to like sit face to face, and if you're not good with face to face, can we at least like call, or can I send a voicemail, because I feel like that portrays my emotions and stuff like that a whole lot more better, and we don't get lost in translation, because it is a bit hard to tell tones in text messages and things like that. I mean, it's already hard enough for me to tell tones when I'm face to face looking at a person and they're talking to me. Like I have my friends use tone tags when we're talking, not just when we're texting. Like some of my friends have to unironically say yeah /J when they say a joke so I understand, because otherwise I won't understand. So like don't worry, I said it was a discussion. I did not take this anything to heart, do not worry, and I actually really enjoyed your comment. Your comment really made my day, so thank you for sending out your 2 cents on the whole discussion, and I really enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed my little take, and yeah, that's the consent thing is definitely something that I didn't take about. You have a point. It's all about agency and stuff like that, and we both agree, beauty pageants could burn in hell. And as always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.